Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to a very, very special shoot. Special in the sense of there's really very few, if any, properties with a view like this. It's probably about 420 meters above sea level, and the wines, you have no idea how good these wines are. But you're gonna find out. You're gonna get a good taste of something really special today. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce somebody that's synonymous to the property, both Andrew and Rozy Gunn, who own the property and everything that goes into it, are obviously responsible for the end product. Rozy, thank you for joining us. Thank you for taking time out of your, I know it's a hectic schedule. You're probably going to say, oh, it's not too bad, but I know it's a hectic schedule. So thank you for bringing us to this beautiful property. And I think Sam's got something pretty interesting to say.
Well, I think the first time I was introduced to Iona was 10 years ago to Sauvignon Blanc, but only when you come out here do you really see what you tasted and why you fell in love with it in the first place. And it's a mesmerizing property when you go in, when you drive in here. But the whole story of you and Andrew and how you shaped this property is beautiful. And we chose, because of your background in arts, and you're an extremely creative person, you farm, you've got your hands in the soil. We chose this wine together at the One Man Band because it kind of meshes art and wine. So won't you talk us through this and give us a bit of a background, and then we talk about the wine as well.
Welcome, and it's lovely having you here. You're absolutely right. This property is mesmerizing, and Andrew always tells a joke on himself, is that he was so mesmerized by it that he actually bought an incredible fruit apple farm. And hence we had to make this very slow and painful kind of move into wine, hoping like crazy it was going to work. Iona is synonymous with Sauvignon Blanc, and up here, primarily, we still grow Sauvignon Blanc and Pinot Noir and Chardonnay, which really thrive on the fact that this is the coolest vineyard in South Africa. But prior to marrying Andrew, I had a small farm. It's 3 kilometers as a crow flies down there. And after we were married, I actually kept it. And that is why we produce a slightly bigger, richer style of red wine, which comes off there. And that accounts for where the One Man Band comes from. The connection between art and wine, traditionally all Iona bottles, we always had our little Viking ship with Iona, and it was very clean, either with Chardonnay or Pinot Noir or Sauvignon Blanc written underneath. But because this was a blend of almost 6 different varietals in its infancy, it started with 6 different varietals, which we grew between us. We thought it would look like a hell of a mess to have all of these varietals written down on the same label. So this label was actually, it comes from a sculpture by the same name, the One Man Band, which I actually bought. He was my old professor at UCT and took me through my masters there. And we actually weren't that great friends when I was at UCT. I was quite a shy student, but we became huge friends after I left university, right up until his death last year, where we would have lunch once a month and go and talk about art and life and the universe and sort all your problems out, as one does, over a few glasses of wine. And but I love the fact that the One Man Band, he plays all these instruments, and likewise in this wine we have all these different varietals from Shiraz, Cab, Petit Verdot, Mourvèdre, and even a little bit of Viognier, which is actually a white wine. And we try and blend them harmoniously. And the great beauty of a blend is that every year you have a little bit of leverage. You are not confined to 100% of a varietal, which may or may not have had a good season that year. So I've always been a bit of a fan of a blend. And then I think that the artist's rendition of the actual sculpture, which was obviously a 3-dimensional bronze, big bronze, I love the way that he's done this sort of African woodcut style, which is quite contemporary and South African, I think, because we often nod to Europe. But the wine itself, I think, also is the label really speaks to what the wine is about. It's quite a big wine by our standards, although it's sort of just over 13.5%. It's a lovely, robust, spicy. Shiraz gives it the lovely spiciness. The Cab gives it the grip. Viognier gives it this incredible perfume. We only have 2% in, but it's really a lovely perfumed wine. And
But to interrupt you quickly, but what I love about the label is that it's got this robust character of different dimensions to it, and people often think that blending is a matter of throwing things together. This harmony that you're talking about and this musical element to it, it's just that it all shines together and becomes a greater part together than on its own.
Sure.
And it communicates that, and that I think when people buy this wine, you also have to buy into the whole concept
But that's the whole thing, correct. I'm 100% right. If I'm not mistaken, Rozy, the Syrah comes from the property down.
it does.
And it's what, just on 10 hectares?
The actual farm is 34 hectares, but I've only got 9 hectares planted. Some of which is Mourvèdre, some of which is the Petit Verdot,
Right, correct,
some
correct.
of which is the Viognier, some of which is the Syrah, and the Cabernet always traditionally came from up here.
So the label is unbelievable. The story behind it is so interesting. I want to taste the wine that's inside the bottle. So I think without any further ado, I'd love to go through to taste the wine. Is there anything else, Sam, that you'd like to possibly ask out of what's been said already?
Just my opinion. I just tasted the wine. What I love about it is that it's got plenty of fruit, but it's got a lot of earthy and a peppery note and a savory note, almost like a Parma ham kind of savory note to it. But it also a lot of red fruit, a lot of dark fruit. So it definitely doesn't tire on the palate, and it goes on and goes
It's
on.
got that grippy tannin, hasn't it? It's got that really solid tannin, which is exceptional. Imagine this with Italian food.
Yeah, I think it would be a fantastic match. And as you say, I think it's got obvious and firm tannins, but not overpowering
Not at all.
or raw or
That's
hard.
right.
And I think that's where Wagner Muller, our winemaker, he's incredible at blending. And you're right, blending is not sommer mixing a whole lot of things
Sure.
together. It's actually quite an art to it. And if you feel that something doesn't have a place there that year, it gets
Leave
left
out.
out.
Absolutely. Well, Rozy, thank you very much. But I need to show everybody this label. It is,
So what will you cook with it?
what will you asking Italian what you'll cook with it?
For sure.
What he was going to cook with it? I'll quickly show this label because it's exceptionally beautiful. Dun, 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 dun. There we go, the One Man Band. And if you think the label's good, you have no clue what the inside tastes like. It's unbelievable. So this would go extremely well, I personally think, with ossobuco. The Italians love, excuse the vegetarians, but the Italians love rabbit. So I think a nice rabbit would go extremely well with this. I think even with a nice minestrone in winter, perfect pairing. Otherwise, what, on its own. I mean, just look at this.
But it's got the fruit to stand up to the acidity of it,
Sure,
and
sure.
also
And
because of where you are.
And this is a 16, and I think it's also something that you're going to be rewarded with patience. I think this wine's just going to become better and better. Rozy?
Absolutely. I mean, the fact that this is the current release and it's a 2016 will give you some indication that
Sure.
traditionally, once upon a time, we did try and release it 2 years after harvest, and it was quite tight and quite reserved, almost too reserved, and we felt that we really had to hold it for a little bit longer. And now I think it's starting to fly.
Absolutely, without a doubt.
Still has legs to go, but certainly drinking and accessible now.
Fantastic. Thank you once again. Thank you for the privilege. Thank you for the opportunity.
Putting on my heartstrings.
Well, a long time ago. Rozy, thank you. It's a great pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having
Thank
us.
you.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers.